by the Chief Justice Martha Koome. 64 new magistrates are being sworn in. Of course, we'll be getting back to that shortly. But let's move on to the big battle in the Senate today, where the political parties' amendment bill will be debated after it sailed through in the National Assembly last week. Political affairs reporter Daniel Kariuki is on that beat. Kariuki, good morning. What should we expect today?
Right, after the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 moved from the National Assembly, after it was passed without any changes, now it heads to the Senate, and you've said it right. Today a special sitting was called by the Senate Speaker, Ken Lusaka, and it was gazetted last week. It's going to be happening this morning. Actually, it's going to be officially kicking off in a few the Senate chambers, and of course members of the Senate, or rather senators, have been invited excuse me, have been invited, or rather have been called upon to appear this morning and afternoon in order to deliberate on these political parties Amendment Bill 2021. Now, what we are looking at and what we are following keenly is to see how it's going to be unveiling at the Senate. Remember, the National Assembly, the Deputy President allies really pushed to have amendments to the bill. But now, here at the Senate, they are also going to be pushing to have the amendments. Remember, looking at the law or the standing orders of the House, it means that if there are any amendments, then the bill might be delayed, because now that the bill is at the Senate, if it has any amendments, it means that it has to go back to the National Assembly, because it would have been the changes would have interfered with the bill as it was first proposed in the National Assembly, or rather passed in the National Assembly. And that means if any amendment is put to the bill, then it has to go back to the National Assembly for changes. So the handshake team will be seeking to ensure that Deputy President William Ruto's allies do not bring in amendments, since if the amendments are brought, it means then there will be a delay of the enactment of the bill or the law once passed and assent into law by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And so already DP's allies have already identified areas that they are going to be bringing in amendments. One of the areas that they are seeking to have the amendments is the Register of Political Parties have been given powers by this law that she can be in charge of the party list and can have powers in matters to do with the party nominations, and that is where the DP allies will be seeking to have that amendment to change it. Remember, DP Ruto, once in one of the rallies, has already castigated this move, saying that this will give powers to the registrar to be able to interfere with party nominations, which is going to interfere with the running of the parties in the country. And so that is one of the provisions that they are going to be seeking to change in the amendment. Of course, this being the first time that the bill is going to be introduced in the Senate, it's the first reading, and so it's going to be forwarded to the Senate Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs that is chaired by Okongo Mogeni, and we are going to be seeking to know exactly how the committee is going to be going on with the issues to do with this bill that is going to be forwarded to that committee for public participation. Last week, Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka chaired a committee of the House, the committee of the Business Committee of the House to deliberate on how they are going to move this bill and how it's going to be handled in the Senate. Remember, in the National Assembly, we witnessed chaos from DP's allies confronting with the handshake team, and so the Speaker was calling for that meeting to ensure that they have put a foundation on how they are going to take this bill forward. And also remember, there was issues to do with the voting. The National Assembly, the first sitting that they had, the special sitting, and the second special sitting, they were voting manually, and the third special sitting, the Speaker ruled that they have to vote electronically. So these are some of the issues that they were trying to iron out in the House Business Committee that was chaired by Lusaka last week. And so we are going to be looking forward to see, once it's forwarded to the Senate Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, what they are going to have in the public participation and some of the issues that are going to arise from the public participation. And if the amendments come through, and just like I told you, if the amendment comes through, it means it has to go back to the National Assembly. And if it's not passed by the National Assembly, then a joint committee is formed to iron out those issues concerning the bill. And so we are going to be following up to know if these amendments are going to be going through, and if the handshake team will win to stop the amendments, or the DP team will win in putting amendments to this bill. Remember, for any amendment to go through, it requires at least 24 senators to vote to it so that it can go through. And so looking at the numbers, most of the time when we have had such a case where the handshake team competing with the Hustlers movement, we have seen most of the time the Hustler movement garnering about 18 votes to about 22 to 23 of the other team, the handshake team. And so we are looking forward to see how the situation is going to be, Ashley.
Thank you very much, Daniel Kariuki, for that in-depth update of course, that political parties amendment bill 2021 that is expected to be introduced in the Senate today in a special sitting. We'll be crossing over live there once it commences. But as we wait for that, insurance firms' loss from insuring vehicles doubled in the 9 months ended September 2021, intensifying the push for increased premiums. These are the details.
Insurance Regulatory Authority data shows that the underwriting loss, which is the difference between premiums collected and claims plus expenses paid, jumped to 7.31 billion shillings from 3.52 billion shillings in the preceding similar period. Underwriting losses from insuring private motor vehicles jumped by 120%